Hey everyone, what's up? It's Bryan Hornung from Xact IT Solutions. I hope you're having a great day. Today is January 6th, 2021. And today we're going to jump into a video about a new ransomware that has been noticed or seen out there on the interwebs since really the beginning of 2021. Since January 1st or 2nd, we started seeing this particular strain of ransomware, and it's a new one. It's called, I'm not going to get into what it's called right now because you got to remember before we get into the content, we don't get paid for this channel. We don't do sponsorships. We don't annoy you with commercials. All that I ask is that you hit the like button and that you maybe consider subscribing to our channel here. We're on our way to 1,200 subscribers. Would love to hit that as soon as possible. Maybe even jump over that and get to 1,500. And your support would be greatly appreciated if you could help us get there. Without further ado, I would like to jump into today's content and talk about this new malware strain that's out there. All right, everyone. So the new malware ransomware strain that's out there, the name of it is called Babuk Locker, actually, and it does what ransomware does. It encrypts devices. It's one of those things with this one. It's having a pretty quick impact, and this one is targeting corporate victims and basically human operated attacks, meaning through phishing scams and social media scams and getting your employees to click on things that they probably shouldn't be clicking on. That's why security awareness training is important, and we recommend that you deliver that over short videos over a consistent period of time. Many companies, we're still seeing them doing annual cybersecurity trainings, or they are doing quarterly cybersecurity trainings. Quite frankly, they're not effective enough. Your cybersecurity awareness training plan should involve regular, we recommend weekly training, either videos or snippets or however you want to deliver it. Training is most effective through video. We use a proprietary system here that introduces not only video, but it also quizzes, and it allows companies to track who's taking what cyber awareness training and who isn't, and it gives us an opportunity to highlight weaker points in the company with people who aren't taking the training or are just not doing well enough in the training to where they're getting a full understanding of what their role is in this whole cyber defense ecosystem that every company needs to begin to start to set up if they haven't already. So cyber awareness training for your employees, very important. They are part of this whole ecosystem of protecting your systems and your data. So moving into that Babuk Locker ransomware a little bit further is it was definitely in the beginning of 21, and it's already hit, like I said, a nice list of victims around the world. It looks like they're on the smaller side of demands, or they're asking for about 60 to 85,000 in Bitcoin. So that's about 2 Bitcoin right now based on current prices. And it basically, the interesting thing about this one, again, I don't obviously like to get too technical on this channel, but it basically, Chung Dong, he's a security researcher, he analyzed a new ransomware, and that ransomware is deemed, the coding of it is deemed to be amateurish, but includes secure encryption that prevents victims from recovering their files for free. Basically, it goes on to say that he basically said that despite the amateur coding practices used, its strong encryption scheme that utilizes elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman algorithm has proven effective in attacking a lot of companies so far. Basically, it means that what they're saying is that the delivery method isn't so sophisticated. Like the files that you see doesn't pop up with like a nice big red screen that says, "Hey, your files have been locked," with a countdown like you see in some ransomware software that's deployed. This is simply just a text file that pops up on your computer. It says, "Hey, your files have been encrypted. Here's how you get to our support chat to start negotiating. Oh, and by the way, we stole your data." But I'll talk about that in a minute. The other interesting thing is that when this thing's launched, the threat actors can use a command line argument to control how the ransomware should encrypt the network shares and other things. So it has like an option to go LAN first, LAN second, or no LAN at all. And it basically determines whether or not it should encrypt the map drives and network shares that are out there first, or if it should encrypt the machine that it's on. This is important because in the sense of how the ransomware is delivered and how it encrypts. If the ransomware ends up on a server, you really don't want it going out to the LAN and encrypting the LAN files first. You want to encrypt the server. Conversely, if you're on a user's computer, laptop, desktop, what have you, and you're on that machine, and that's the machine where the ransomware is initially deployed from, and there's really typically not a lot of files there. Most companies or most enterprises have like a business file share that everybody puts files into, or a server that's known as the file share. And hitting that first and encrypting that first before somebody realizes that there's something going on only increases the chances that this ransomware is going to be more effective. So that's why I believe they put this option within the ransomware. Just because if they're on a machine that actual machine is where all the data is, they'd rather encrypt that one first before they hit other smaller targets that may not be as valuable. You don't want to do that in the reverse order, because if somebody catches it, then your chances of actually getting paid may decrease significantly. So moving on, it once it's launched, it terminates Windows services. It looks for processes known to keep files open that would prevent encryption. So if you think that you have Word or Outlook open, it's going to terminate all those programs, and it will also disable database servers, mail servers, backup software, and mail clients like Outlook, and web browsers like Chrome and Edge and things like that. So the encrypted files, Babuk then uses a hard-coded extension that it appends to each encrypted file. The hard-coded extension that we know of so far is NIST_K571. So basically all your files get put on, hit with that extension on the end of it. And then you get presented with a ransomware note that's ransom, how to restore your files.txt. It's, like I said, it's a simple text file that is created in every single folder that files are encrypted on. And the ransom note contains basic information on what happened during the attack and a link to a Tor site where the victim can negotiate with the ransomware operators. And really, that's why I wanted to bring this video to you today, because as you can see up on my screen and what I've had up here behind me for the last 8-9 minutes or so is the actual chat from the ransomware people. And I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention because I want to show you how the tactics of these operators and these cyber criminals are really changing. And that is simply because they are adopting or adjusting their business practices based on how the cybersecurity and the business community is reacting to ransomware. And right now we're in this vicious cycle of companies being attacked, insurance companies getting involved, insurance companies paying the ransom, or cybersecurity companies acting on behalf of the victim company as their kind of like agent to negotiate the ransomware payments or other aspects of it. A lot of times the insurance companies bring in their own cybersecurity negotiators when it comes to ransomware. And as you can see in the chat here, simple Tor web address URL. As you can see, it's a random series of letters and numbers, which I believe with this ransomware, every single victim has its own personal URL. That part you see before .onion changes for every victim. As you can see, .onion is a indicator that you are on a Tor or you're using an Onion type browser and you're looking at things on the dark web. And it goes on to go to in the chat. Hello, technical support is ready to answer you. You type your message. Hello, that is right. To start a dialogue, I ask you to answer 2 questions. 1, are you a recovery company? 2, do you have insurance against ransomware programs? So basically, they want to know, number 2, am I dealing with the company that we hacked, somebody representing that company, or am I dealing with a professional organization? And insurance, and do you have insurance to cover what we just did to your company? Why is this important? Why would they ask something like this? It's pretty evident, but if you think about it, are you a recovery company? Like, who are we dealing with here? Are we dealing with experienced people? Have we dealt with you before in previous attacks? Because there aren't a lot of companies that do ransomware negotiation. And that's going to make it harder for them to get the maximum amount that they are trying to get. And then, do you have insurance against ransomware programs? Well, obviously, if you have insurance, they're not going to go lower on their ask. They're going to keep it higher because they know you have insurance. So you got to be careful on how you answer these questions, because while they were able to encrypt your files, if you answer these wisely, and I'm not saying truthfully, but if you answer them to where things are in your favor, if you're considering paying the ransom, which you shouldn't, but if you're considering that as an option, if you want to lower that payment as low as you can get it to get your files back, tell them, I'm just a guy with no money, I didn't hire anybody, and I don't have insurance. Because quite frankly, these guys are changing their tactics, and they want to know who they're dealing with. And once they know who they're dealing with, then they decide how much to ask from you. They also seem to be asking for that amount that's right in that sweet spot for insurance companies to kind of go, all right, just write them a check and not take anything further. A nuisance loss to the insurance company at $60,000 to $80,000. So, and then it goes on to say, before we move on to discussing the price, please upload 4 to 5 files of encrypted files of no more than 10 megs using any file exchanger. Then we will decrypt these files as a test. They basically want to know, A, are we able to decrypt these files? And B, we want to make sure that we're talking to the people that we know we encrypted. So it's kind of like a double verification there, in my opinion, as to why they're asking for you to upload these encrypted files. Because, at the end of the day, if they're going to have trouble getting these things encrypted, and if this is a ransomware as a service type delivery, chances are that these guys didn't develop the ransomware that was deployed. They're doing it on behalf of somebody else, and then they would go back to the ransomware creators. And, if there were any problems with decryption, they would try to get the ransomware creators to fix the decryption. Because simply that's how it works right now. The guys that are outsourcing the ransomware and providing it as a service will provide a service to the people who deploy it in the event that things cannot be decrypted. Because the name of this game is encrypt and decrypt, and people will keep paying. If the word gets out that you get encrypted and you don't get decrypted, people are going to stop paying. So part of this whole scheme is we have to get the files unlocked. Otherwise, word's going to get out that the files don't get unlocked, and then people are going to be apprehensive to pay us for unlocking these files. And then moving on. Okay, it says, okay, write me as you are ready to provide the files. Also, send us the ecdh_pub.k.bim file from those computers from which you will download the files. This file will be placed in the app data, and then okay, and then the chat goes on. So it's just interesting. They have this is a common ransomware tactic here is to steal the data, and they are using a hacker forum to leak data. This hacking or this ransomware group, and the threat actors use the stolen data as a double extortion strategy, which I've mentioned on this channel many times. And they threaten and do leak the data if you decide like, hey, I'm going to try to not pay this ransom. Most just like this one, most ransomware operators have created public ransomware data leak sites to publish stolen data. And Babuk Locker is currently using a hacker forum to leak the stolen data. They didn't create their own website. They have, and we know of 5 victims based on what they've released so far on the dark web. We know that they hit an elevator and escalator company. We know that they've hit an office furniture manufacturer. We know that they hit a car parts manufacturer, a medical testing products manufacturer, and an air conditioning and heating company in the United States. At least one of the victims has agreed to pay the ransom, which was for $85,000. And in a post on the same hacker forum, a representative from the Babuk Locker states that they will soon launch a dedicated leak site and stop using the hacking forum to release information. So that's our new ransomware for 2021 named Babuk Locker. Probably going to see a lot more of it coming in the future. I just wanted to give you a rundown of what this ransomware looks like, what it does to your systems, what it's like to negotiate with these guys, and you kind of see where this is all going. But this is ever evolving, and I would say this wouldn't have been a video I would have done this time last year. The processes and the way that these ransomware operators work has been refined through 2020. And they weren't this sophisticated in the beginning of 2020. As 2020 moved on, we saw them start to change their tactics, start to use double extortion. Towards the end of 2020, we started seeing that they were very aware that the United States businesses at least had insurance companies behind them and professional ransomware negotiators, if you want to dub them that. Now they're changing their tactics to deal with these people and these entities that are now getting involved that are causing them to, in their mind, lose revenue. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the content. I'll see you on the other side. Have a great night. Take care.